Welcome in to Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, back again for another week to keep up with everything going on with Montevallo Athletics. And to lead things off, we're going to talk with Coach Tena Nevins of Montevallo Volleyball. And Coach, a big week for you guys this past week. Not only a big win over Thorsby on Tuesday, but you get a huge win over your rival, Calera. And I say that puts a big smile on your face.
It does.
Right there. You know, I've talked with your players and talked with you. That was a very important game for you guys this past week, and to go out and not only win, but to win 3-1 and win pretty handily. That had to really kind of stand out to you and really show you what you have with this team this year.
It did. It was a good week. We started off on Tuesday with Thorsby and went into kind of a hot environment. It's not always pleasant playing in the Chilton County schools in August and September because they don't have air conditioning. But we go in and we're able to get wins with the JV team and with the varsity team. Didn't play as well as I really wanted us to play. I think sometimes we have a tendency to play down a little bit. But we had a great practice on Wednesday, and the kids were fired up for Thursday. And this is the first time they've beaten Calera in a while. And so, you know, they're friends with, like I said, those kids, and you know, those kids were around here sometimes in the summer too, you know, trying to just find a place where they could play volleyball. And so, you know, it was good to see us go out there and compete, and like you said, for them to get a 3-1 win. You know, after the first game, I thought, you know, maybe we'd be shook a little bit, but they just, you know, just got the determination behind them, and we go out there and clean things up a little bit, especially with our passing. And you know, before you know it, we've got a 3-1 win over our rivals, so it was great.
On top of that, I saw a post, and I think it happened the week before, but for you hit a big milestone in wins as well as a volleyball coach. And so for that, kind of talk a little bit about that and how much that meant. It's been a big week for you now over the past week.
You know, to be honest, I haven't even kept up with it. I knew it was coming close, but as busy as we've been, I haven't really, you know, really paid attention to the milestone. You know, the milestones are good, and the nice thing about it is that, you know, when you think about the milestones, when they come around with the wins and stuff, you realize all the kids that went into getting you to that milestone. And it's a pretty special thing when you go back and, like I said, you take a look at all the kids that made it happen for you, and all the kids that hopefully you had an impact on their life, but they definitely impacted my life in some way. And you know, I could never thank them enough for that. It's just fun being around them.
8 seniors on this team. How much has that really showed and really helped things to start this season?
I think it's really just from a maturity standpoint. You know, they're not young anymore. They know when they're not playing well. They know what they need to do to play better. They know when they're not playing together. And so they're able to, you know, bring themselves together. You know, they don't have to meet with me. They can meet with themselves and decide, hey, we've got to do this, we've got to do this. And you know, we talked about the not problem, but it's a good problem to have when you have so many seniors and you're trying to get them out there. You know, I wanted to say, you know, especially in the Calera game, one of our seniors who hasn't gotten as much playing time as the others, Miss Kaylee Boyd, came in huge in games 2, 3, and 4 to serve for us, and wound up getting like 4 or 5 serves for the night. And it was the moments that she came in. She didn't miss any serves. She came in, she got her serves in, she got us those 4 or 5 aces. And it made all the difference in the world in those ball games. And you know, what I try to tell the ones on the bench is that, you know, you're going to get your shot. When you get your shot, go get it. Everybody will know, and it's going to make a huge difference. And she definitely made a huge difference for us that night. So, you know, big shout out to Kaylee for being ready to come in and do her job.
On top of that, just knowing your role on a team. You know, you hear it all the time, especially like from basketball coaches, because they're going to be swapping people in and out all the time. You know, really finding your role. And is that going to be important, especially for the 2 that may not be playing as much as some of the other seniors, to know you still have a role and there's still going to be something important you're going to do to help this team win games this year?
It is. It's just harder in volleyball because volleyball is such a momentum sport. You can make one change, and if things start going the other way, sometimes it snowballs and you can't get it back. It's a little bit different than basketball, where I can throw somebody in for a minute, 2 minutes, and nothing major just, really changes. But in volleyball, like I said, it can cause the momentum to totally start going a different way. And you kind of have to be careful, because it's not that you don't trust the kid, but if the kid goes in and things start going bad, and then they feel the guilt that it's their fault, and and then others may feel the same way, which it never is. There's never one play or two plays that make it anybody's fault. But you don't want to put the kid in a situation in which that may happen. And I just speak from experience, because I've done it before and I've had it, and I'm like, no, I'm never going to let a kid be in that position before. It just makes them feel terrible. So with volleyball, it's a little bit harder with the substitution parts, but as we are progressing through the season, everybody is getting better. Everybody is building that trust. I don't have one single player that I'm like, I would never put them in. I trust the players that I have. It's just sometimes with the chemistry that's out there, and like I said, the momentum that you have, you just have to leave it alone and let them play.
Tell me a little bit about this week now, or actually before we get into that, recap this JV tournament that you guys had. You guys went up, what was it, to Jasper?
We went to Corner.
Went to Corner. Okay, so you went up to Corner this past weekend, and tell me a little bit about this JV tournament that you guys had and how you felt about the way that they played this past week. Yeah,
first JV tournament in 28 years that I've ever taken kids to.
Yeah.
Because normally with your JV, they're kids who aren't quite ready to perform, and let's just face it, it costs about $250 to take to go get in a tournament these days, and you don't want to waste the money if the kids aren't able to compete. And this group that we have of 14 ninth graders, 2 10th graders, they can compete. And I had that belief in them and that trust in them. So we went up to Corner, and we wound up defeating Carbon Hill. We lost to Corner in the third set, 15-13. We wound up beating Oakman. We wound up beating Summerton Christian in the first round of the gold bracket. Had to play Mortimer Jordan, lost to Mortimer Jordan in the third set to finish third in the tournament. Mortimer Jordan, that's a hard word to say.
No,
I think that's why they just have Jordan across their shirts. Mortimer Jordan finished first in the tournament, and Corner right behind him. So, we were within just a matter of, 2 to 4 points.
Welcome back in here, keeping up with Montevallo Athletics. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, now joined by head football coach, Coach Blake Boren. And Coach, we were talking about a little bit before going on camera. For you guys, it was game 1 this week, and a lot of teams around the state, it was their third game. It was their 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th quarters of football. You guys finally get to get out on the field. You get to get a game under your belt. How big was that for your team to just finally get to be in a game situation and really get to find out a little bit about themselves on Friday night?
Well, it was good to play. We've been in fall camp, it seems like, for a long time. And again, we talked about last week, that was really by design with the schedule. So we knew going in it was going to be that way. I think the positives we take out of the game is we played for the most part. We were a clean game. Sometimes you get in game 1, you bobble snaps, you have special teams miscues, and we didn't have those. I think we had 4, 5, 6 penalties maybe, which is relatively low, and a lot of those were sort of judgment calls that could go either way. So I think from playing the game, I thought we came out and we played hard. The biggest thing that you notice when you see is, and I went back and watched our Maplesville game last year and our Jackson game last year in the playoffs. And the thing that's just so hard to do at our level of football is just to replicate the speed. And so, the shell shock is always there a little bit when this is not practice and you're going live and it's a full tilt game. And so we have to work our way into playing to the speed. Most years, I think people will tell you in the coaching world, you make your biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2. We're hopeful that happens this year. I know it happened for us in 2020. We made tremendous improvement after getting beat really in an ugly game on our part at Shelby County. Came out and played pretty well against ACA, and Bibb County did the same thing last year. So by no means are we concerned or worried about the way it went Friday night. It's just the first step in the process, and we still feel like we've got a good football team here, and we're excited about the season and excited about playing Hale County for senior night this week.
Did you feel like as the game went on that your team was adjusting to the speed and was starting to kind of figure things out as the game went on?
A little bit. Shelby County also really dominated the game up front. The biggest takeaway from this game is we got handled up front. We held up well defensively early. We couldn't really click and get it going offensively. We've been able to run the football here the last 2 years. and we struggled to run it a little bit Friday night. So, obviously, our job as a coach is to go back and evaluate everything. We'll do that. We make corrections. There'll be some tweaks to our lineup this week. There'll be some tweaks to what we do schematically. But, we've got to run. And like I said last week, football is blocking, tackling, and being physical. And that's what we'll continue to try to do to get better at.
What were some of the things that they were able to do outside of just being really good up front that gave you guys some issues that you feel like are stuff that you can fix as the season goes on?
I think the biggest thing they did is, they were going on their ninth quarter, and I think, for us, you talk about surviving the first 5 or 6 minutes. I think you get out there and you get hot, you get excited, and it's knowing how to keep your composure. It's understanding how to keep level and play consistent throughout and not kind of get caught up in the moment. So, we ran, I think, in the first quarter 5 plays, and we only ran 46 plays in the entire night. So, we need to get some more plays in and settle down, and I think we're going to have a chance to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, you got to look at the fact that you only ran 46 plays all night. They kept the ball most of the first quarter. To sit there and hold a team like that to 21 points, even with getting out physical, that had to really encourage you a little bit of, hey, if we can just fix a couple things, if we can start coming off the ball a little bit harder and we're playing against our classification, I'm going to feel pretty good about what we have with this group.
Yeah, we know what we have to this group, and we're excited about coming back out and practicing today. In baseball, you play a lot of games. You lose one, and you go on to the next one, and that's harder to do in football because you play 10 games. But really, that's the mentality. You never try to get too high. You never try to get too low. We've had some years here. First 2 years, I think last year we won 6 or 7 in a row, and so what? You just play the next play and you play the next game, and it's the same thing when you get beat. Ultimately, our job is to turn the corner, and we can only control what we can control. And right now, what we control today is our ability to go out and practice and try to improve and get better, and hopefully build 3 or 4 good days of practice before we play Friday night.
Give me a little bit of a breakdown of what you guys do after a game on Friday. When do you watch your own film? When do you start watching film on the next team and start making preparations for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everybody has a different approach. For us, we stay on Friday night. There's so many things. I think people think you just coach and it's the glitz and glamour you see on TV, but that's not it. What did we do this weekend? We dealt with laundry, and we deal with getting the facility cleaned up, put back in place. There's a lot of moving parts on Friday with feeding kids, and you got to figure out where does everything go and where do you put the extra food, and then you got to deal with all the logistics of game day. And and there's not game day operations here that manages getting the facility taken care of afterwards, getting everything put back in its place. So there's a lot of coaching's the easy part. The stuff you deal with is the organizational stuff afterwards. And so. We stay late and watch it because we start laundry on Friday night, like most staffs. Fridays are long days. We don't do much as a staff collectively together on Saturday. What we do, and what I do, is we sit around and Saturday's sort of your day to grade yourself and reflect. And so we watch all of our tapes. We get all of our tapes broken down. We grade all of our tapes. We get mentally prepared to make the corrections we need to make on Monday. Most of our coaches start watching, and we do a little bit of advanced prep earlier in the week. As we get into the year, we'll start getting some tapes earlier than just Sunday when you swap, and so we try to get those broken down. And then you come up here Sunday and you go at it, And so for us Sunday, this Sunday was a little bit abnormal. We dealt with a mower that kind of broke down on us, so we still got to get the grass cut. We still got to get off that handle and get the sprinkler systems going. So there's a lot to do. But yeah, we really start turning the page pretty quickly. We try to put the last one behind us, good or bad, win or lose, and move on as quickly as you can, because again, we play in 5 days, and time is of the essence, when you have to prepare and plan and start the way we need to start.
When you look at Hale County, what has kind of stood out to you about this group, and what are some of the things that they can do that can give you guys some difficulties on
Friday? They got a really good running back, and they're effective throwing the football. So, a lot of times in high school, you either have some teams that throw it really well, or you have teams that really run it really well. The balance is sometimes hard to find, particularly in the smaller levels of high school, because you just don't have the depth and you don't have the players. But they appear to do both well, and so we'll definitely have our hands cut out for us, defensively, and being able to be consistent in the run game and hold up to that, but also play in coverage a little bit. Defensively, the biggest thing that they do defensively is they have 2 really good defensive ends. They've got 2 inside backers that play downhill. And so, it's a game of blocking and tackling. We threw the ball pretty well on Friday night. We need to continue to do that. And for us, it's just about cleaning up some of the things that that we didn't do so well on Friday. And so we've got some corrections to make for sure, and we'll work on those this week.
How tough is it to prepare for a team like this where, they have a new staff in there this year, new head coach and Coach Ryan Locke, and so for them, they're still kind of trying to learn about themselves, and you're not really going to know what to expect week to week. So with this game being, week 2, it's game 3 for them, is that going to make it a little bit more difficult to prepare for a team like that? Do you have to go back and watch some of his teams at Etowah and see what they did to see some concepts, or how do you try to go about that?
Well, a couple things. One, I've known Ryan a long time. Ryan's a great coach, and there's no doubt he'll get Hale County going in the right direction. You can already see, Ryan was offense coordinator at Cumberland University, and we were at Faulkner University in 2014, so we were Mid-South Conference rivals. I think we played them in a great game. 2014, I think they were ranked number 7 or 8 in the country. We were ranked number 4 in the country. Had just an unbelievable NAIA nationally ranked game, and he was offense coordinator. And so I've known Ryan a long time. I followed him when he went with Coach Neville at Foley, and he's been all around. So he's a great guy, and there's no doubt he's going to do a really good job there. Again, in trying to plan out your schedule, we started our advanced prep on them early. They played a jamboree at Fultondale, I think, on the 12th, and so we had coaches there, and we got the chance to watch them play that night. And then obviously we started watching the Northside game a little bit last week, and then we got the Greensboro game early this Sunday. So we already, in the summer, people think in the summer your school teachers are off 3 months. The summer you're not off 3 months. The summer we're here, and so one of the things that most staffs do in the summer is they try to advance prep. Particularly your early games, and in college they'll do advanced scouting on every opponent they play, all 12 games. In high school, some coaches do that. We do the first 2 or 3 to where we just try to get a feel. Obviously, it's going to change. We could watch what he did at Etowah, and we could see what he did at Cumberland. But what he's doing at Hale County is probably a little different than what he did at Cumberland back in the day. But there are some similarities, and the big thing is just to get an idea so that you can go back and look at some notes you made in June or July, and you can say, well, yeah, we're still getting this, we're still seeing that. And so you try to do that early, and I don't know if that's any secret. That's most good coaching staffs try to get on top of that.
You mentioned a lot of guys playing both ways for you guys. How did you feel about the conditioning this past Friday, and do you feel like it's going to take another step up this coming Friday night? Yeah,
I mean, we got out of the game. We had a little cramping late, but, I can remember, the first year we were here in 2020, and we finished, we were on running back number 4 by the end of the game, and running back number 4 had never taken a snap in practice. And so you just, we had to makeshift it, and we were down left and right. And I thought we held up really well. All things considered, we worked really hard. There's a strength conditioning coach that's now at Vestavia named Chris Knoyer, who was at Mountain Brook for a long time. He's really well known in the state and the National High School Strength Conditioning Association. So we consulted with him extensively and revamped our off-season program. And I think what we saw, Friday night from a conditioning standpoint, particularly with some of the running and some stuff we did in the summer, I think we were in fairly decent shape. So obviously you're going to cramp because, again, you can run and you can lift all you want to lift, but the force that you exert when you play is difficult to replicate at any practice. Whether you're in Tuscaloosa at Alabama or whether you're at Montevallo High School, it's just different when you get into a game setting. And so naturally, it takes a toll on your body. So I think I would be remiss. I think every high school team in the country to some extent deals with it, some more than others, and some of that goes back to your conditioning. But we feel like our kids held up pretty well from a heat standpoint and being first game.
What are your biggest keys for this Friday night? What is this team going to have to do well, and what are the biggest improvements you want to see made?
Yeah, we want to run the football a little bit better, obviously. I think Anthony Martin played his first game at tailback, and when you watch the tape and you get it from the end zone view, Anthony played pretty well. We did not do a great job up front, picking up some of the unique things that they did, and so we've got to get some of that corrected. For us, it's the formula is what it is. I mean, when you run the football and you tackle and you run the football, and then being explosive in the passing game, which I thought we had several explosive plays in the passing game that were really good, particularly with the quarterback, for all intents and purposes, was making his first start as the starter. He came in a backup role last year, so and played well. But we don't have to do anything completely different. Again, I think we're on the right track, and Shelby County is a good football team, and Shelby County is 2-0 for a reason. And I think when you get to game 9 or 10, you'll look down the road and Shelby County will have been really successful in the year. So I think we played a 5A playoff football team, and I think that will be a good test for our guys as we go down the road and get into the own strength of our schedule a little bit later. So, we're still very, very optimistic and positive about the outlook of this year.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time to sit down again here this week on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics.
Awesome.
And good luck to you guys this week, 7 o'clock right here in Montevallo against Hale County. Should be a good matchup.
We appreciate it. And come out too. We got senior night on Friday night, so excited to celebrate our 10 seniors that play a lot of football, and we'll have our band, and we'll have our cheerleaders out there. And again, the sport is great. The one thing about this group is we had probably the biggest crowd we've had Friday night. We made the most money at the gate we've made. There were a lot of people there, so there's a ton of support. And again, it would be great to get everybody out this Friday night to recognize the seniors and all their effort and hard work over the last couple of years.
Yes, sir. Good luck, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.
Welcome back in, Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, now joined by Jaydien Rutledge, senior member of the football team here at Montevallo. And Jaydien, for you guys, finally get game one under the books. And you guys had to wait a lot longer than a lot of other teams here in the state for that game one. And so how big was it to just get out there, finally get to play a game and to get your senior season kicked off?
It was very exciting, coming in. We had an off week. We was very eager to get back on the field. I think we had a good off season. We just came up short this past week. A lot of mental things, physical things, but I think we'll turn it back around and get where we used to be.
Being out there playing, could you tell that it was their third game playing and it was you guys' first game, just with how kind of things went and how they kind of looked on the field compared to you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Them coming in, playing 3 games ahead of us. This is our third game, and our first game, they had a lot more experience than we did, especially coming in with a young team. So absolutely, I think it showed Friday night.
What kind of stood out to you? What impressed you about your guys on Friday night?
Just the way we came and played together. As having our first year starting quarterback coming in and young guys on the offensive line, I think it really showed. But I think we stood out and mature enough to know that, we got to step it up a little bit coming in.
Coach Boren talked a little bit about how, you guys, it's tough for y'all to give yourself the look in practice that you need for a game, especially playing against a 5A opponent like Shelby County and somebody like that. At what point in the game do you feel like you and the rest of the guys really kind of adjusted to their speed and adjusted to someone different being out there?
I feel like the second half, we kind of tried to turn it around a little bit, but we came up short on a lot of goal line situations. We just couldn't punch it in, and if we would have scored those, I think we would have won the game. So,
Coach kind of said offensively just a few things here and there, a couple of holes that you guys could have created that would have given the run game some stuff, and that it was encouraging still to see the way you guys played from a defensive standpoint. Is it still encouraging? He kind of said we don't feel like we had our best night yet. You still held a pretty good team to 21 points and had yourselves in the ball game late. Is that pretty encouraging for the rest of you guys and looking, saying, hey, on down the road, look at what we can be capable of?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that really showed our potential throughout the season. We just gonna get better from here. And yeah, Shelby County was a good team. I played with one of them, number 1, Carter Sheehan. We grew up together, so it was fun playing against him.
Tell me about this Hale County team. What do you know about them right now? And then also, just how exciting is this to get region play started and to get the meaningful games going here in this football season?
I don't really know much against Hale County. I know last year kind of beat them a little bit, but we have a whole totally different team this year, so I think they'll test us and see how we can do and coming up in region play and hopefully get to the playoffs.
Is that one big thing for you guys as seniors, kind of letting some of the young guys know, hey, look, we know that we may have had some success in the past, but that has nothing to do with what this Friday night's going to be like?
Absolutely. Last season, it doesn't matter, it's just this year, and we try to talk to them as much as we can and try to help them out in practice and make sure they're ready and we're ready.
What are the biggest improvements you feel like you want to see on Friday night from this team?
Offensively, we need to step it up. O-line, defense, a lot of things we need to step up, especially it showed our weaknesses Friday night coming in. So this week of practice, we just got to lock in and come stronger and harder.
All right, so we're going to do the get to know you part now here of the interview. And so first off, just tell me what your favorite food is, and then how often are you eating that food as well?
My favorite food, I'm gonna have to go with chicken. You know, I eat it pretty often. You know, go-to things probably chicken fingers for any restaurant. So yeah.
You like fried chicken better than grilled chicken?
Yeah, fried. Yeah.
So tell me what your favorite music is, and like what's your pregame song? What do you listen to really get yourself prepared to go out there on Friday nights?
Favorite music, I listen to all genres, but I'm gonna go with rap. I think that gets me pumped before every game. So yeah, I'm at
Any specific artist or anything?
Favorite artist probably be NBA YoungBoy. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Tell me, what's your favorite sport outside of playing football? What's another sport that you enjoy the most watching, playing, whatever it is?
Favorite sport is definitely basketball. I was definitely a basketball player before I became a football player, but football got more interest. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with basketball.
How much does playing both sports help each other? Playing football help basketball, basketball help football?
Football helps basketball, I think, with a bunch of physical aspects. You being physical, you don't have no protection playing basketball, and it helps you with agility and athletics. And yeah.
What's your favorite subject in school?
Subject science.
Science.
Yeah.
Really? So what was it about science?
It's like a bunch of hands-on and interesting things, cool experience that you get to do and that you don't get to do in other classes. You're just not sitting down and learning a lot of stuff.
Kind of give a message to everybody out there. I mean, what makes this team special? Why is this a team to come out and watch? And just what do you enjoy the most about being a part of this, being a part of Montevallo Athletics, and being a part of this football team?
I'm gonna have to say the bond that everybody has. We're not the biggest team, but the bond, the family aspect of it, is just something special. I feel like you wouldn't get any other place else. So I feel like that is the most definitely standout thing with us.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us here on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics, and good luck to you guys this week.
Thank you.
Anabolic beats.
Welcome back in, Keeping Up with Montevallo Athletics. I'm Caleb Brooks, now joined by Emily Gallagher, senior member of the volleyball team here at Montevallo. And Emily, for y'all, it's been a good start to the year for you guys.
Yes.
You guys are playing really good volleyball, and not only are you playing good volleyball, you're doing it against some really good competition as well. And when you have a big group of seniors the way that you guys do and you get to play together, you always kind of talk about this and envision this, but it's got to be a lot of fun to see all of this coming to fruition and you guys playing as well as you are here so early.
Oh yeah, it's amazing just because there's so many of us seniors, and that means that we've kind of grown up together. Like, I've played with these girls since middle school, and so seeing that bond grow over the years and seeing us become the team that we know we can be is an amazing feeling.
How big was it? Last year there weren't any seniors, and so y'all were kind of really counted on to be those leaders a little bit earlier. You were counted on out there on the court a little bit early. How much has that helped going into this year?
It helps. Well, we know what's expected of us now because last year there wasn't just a set leadership, so it was really up to us juniors to do it better and to be that leadership that the team needed. And now that we're seniors, since we did it last year, it's very expected of us that we need to be the leadership on the team and encourage everybody. And so our younger teammates, they look up to us, and that can be a lot of weight on your shoulders, but when you realize that you're just there to play volleyball and you're just there to have fun, it can be very easy.
How do you feel about do you feel like the leadership's gotten even better from last year into this year with your group?
I think we're doing a lot better now because last year it was like we haven't had seniors in a couple years to look up to, and last year not having that, it was kind of weird because normally there's always seniors on a team and you're always like, okay, what do we do now? Let's ask the seniors. And so going from having 2 years of that leadership experience of being the seniors on the team to now being the actual seniors, it's just it's been such a smooth transition, and I think all of us are we're natural leaders. And so sometimes that means that we butt heads a little bit because all of us want to be the big person on the team, but we're very good at working together since we've been playing together so long.
Tell me about the chemistry on the court. How fun is it to have a group of people that you've played so long with and that you just know each other so well?
It's very easy to play with these girls because I've played with them for so long. And more recently that we've noticed through our tournaments, and even Nevins told us, is that we're learning each other better, because volleyball is a lot about communication, but sometimes there's things that you can't really communicate that easy. So like if our setter can't get to the ball, we just know that somebody's going to get it. We know to help each other out whenever we need to. And so that building that chemistry over these years and over this year specifically has just been really good for our team, and I think is what's led to our good wins.
When you look at this group as a whole, what do you really feel like is the biggest strength that you guys have?
I think that our friendship just outside the court is one of our biggest strengths, because we know that if I see my teammates in the hallway that we're cool and that we don't have any kind of beef with each other. And we're good at solving that if we can, but being friends outside of the court is also very big to having that connection on the court, because you know them for so long and you're friends with them, and so that connection and that chemistry comes easily.
Seeing the JV group go and have a really successful tournament this past weekend, how proud does that make y'all as the older girls? Y'all are working with them all the time.
Yeah.
You see them in practice, and it's got to, it's got to be fun to know that y'all are going to leave this place and you got another good group that can come right behind y'all and just keep this thing going.
We have a group chat for the varsity, and Nevin was giving us updates on the tournament. She's like, JV did this and they did this, and all of us are just going in the group chat, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of them, because it's like our little babies. Like I remember being a freshman on the team, and then just really wanting the varsity girls, well, I was on varsity as a freshman, but wanting some of the older girls on the team to be like, oh, you did so well, you did so well. And it's good to know that we have a strong team coming up, that when most of our varsity from our 8 seniors leave, that we still have a good program here at Montevallo.
When you look at the win over Calera this past week, just how big was that for y'all, and how important was that to y'all as well?
That felt so good, because we haven't beaten Calera since I can remember. And it's just, that's one of our biggest rivalry games since going into freshman year. It's always been engraved in your mind of Calera is going to be your biggest game. Not like the biggest opponent that we're going to face, but just from the sheer rivalry that we have with each other. And so losing for 3 years to them was devastating, but all of a sudden coming in senior year and winning just puts that extra, it lit that fire underneath us, that we know that we can beat our rival and that we know that we have a chance against any team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. Not only just beating your rival, but the confidence that had to give y'all as well. I mean, can you feel like this is a little bit of a different team now, just coming off of that game?
I think just from that win itself, that we kind of like were riding on that high for so long, and now we just have that confidence of, okay, we beat Calera, we played a great game against them, who's next?
When you look at what's coming next for you guys, how important is bouncing back off of that, and obviously that was a big win and one you want to enjoy, but now, moving on now this week and focusing on the next games and saying, hey, we don't want to let that be the end-all be-all. We want to build off that to have a great year.
And one thing, like since we just had that really big win, we don't want to go into a downward slope from there, because you can't beat your rival and then just lose all these other games. So it really makes us have to think about our playing these next couple weeks and not trying to go down from where we are.
Where do you really want to see this group build on the most? Like, where do you want to see the most improvement this week?
I think that like our passing, talking about actual like volleyball play, I think sometimes we can get in our heads a lot. Like when we're down, if somebody hits it in the net, or if we're a couple points down, we have a tendency of getting on our heads and kind of getting in this slump. And so I think just keeping the energy up and making sure that we're all participating in the way that we need to is going to be something really important this week.
All right, so we're going to do the get to know you part of the interview now. And so first of all, just tell me what your favorite food is, and then how often are you eating that food as well?
I think I'd have to go with a solid French fry. That's like my comfort food too. I don't eat them very often, but when I do eat them, I eat them in large quantities. So it's probably not the best for me, but it's like one of my favorite foods to eat.
Do you like any certain condiment with it, like ketchup, mustard, ranch?
I love Chick-fil-A sauce. That's very specific. But Chick-fil-A sauce goes on everything, so dip a fry in that, and it's all good.
It can be any fry in Chick-fil-A, not just the Chick-fil-A fries.
Any fry.
What's your favorite music? Like, what are you listening to before a game to really kind of get you in the zone?
Before a game, it can be a bunch of different things. We play a lot of like like rap, hip hop music to get pumped up, but you can't go wrong with some like 2010 throwbacks that all of us just sing really loud. It doesn't have to be hype music, but just something that we all know the words to, and something that you can just like get hyped to is really good.
Is there something about like singing that with everybody in the locker room and all that kind
There's something about the chemistry coming all together. Like I think one of the best memories that I have is right when Olivia Rodrigo released her album Sour last season. We just turned that on and cranked it through the speakers, and before our game we just were singing so loud you could probably hear us in the gym, but we played amazing that game just because we just kind of let loose and we weren't super tense before.
Awesome. What's your favorite sport outside of volleyball?
Cheerleading, because I'm a cheerleader. I'm the captain of our cheer team this year, and I've done it since I was very little. And so being able to do cheerleading and volleyball is very good for me, but I love cheerleading too.
How tough is that balancing both those during the year, especially because they're going on at the same time?
Yeah, during the fall it's very stressful. So I'll have games Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll have a football game on Friday, and then tournaments on Saturdays. So my schedule is very packed, which makes it very hard for homework, but I get it done, I promise teachers. But fall is very busy for me, but then it kind of slacks off after volleyball season because I don't do as much after that.
So once volleyball ends, I mean, y'all cheer for basketball games and stuff like that, but is that a lot less stressful time just because you don't have the volleyball and all that? I mean, it's just showing up and just cheering for basketball games?
Yeah, cheering for basketball. We've started competing recently for cheer, so I'll have that in November and December. But it's, again, just pretty much cheer after that. After volleyball season, my schedule kind of opens up and it gets a little more free because I'm not practicing all day and don't have tournaments on Saturdays, but I miss volleyball when I'm not in it.
Well, the competition part of cheerleading, does that make up a little bit for the volleyball part, knowing that you're going to be going and competing and actually trying to work towards winning something?
Yeah, that's one thing that gives me that different satisfaction of volleyball. I participate in the win, and what I do can make a change in the game, whereas cheerleading for like football and basketball games, us cheering can definitely bring some spirit to the football team and the student section, but being able to participate in that win, just like competing for cheer, being able to participate and have a role in winning or getting our points is amazing.
Awesome. What's your favorite subject in school?
English. I'm an English girl. I don't like math, but I can write a paper, I can annotate reading, I can do that. That just comes naturally to me.
So do you want to go into something in English, like when you go into school and stuff, or what are your plans after you leave?
I'm thinking something along the lines of English, but I also really like mass comm, like broadcast and journalism, because I'm in our broadcast journalism class here and I love it. But I have like a side thought about doing something with English. I would love to be a teacher. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, awesome. What would be your message to everybody out there on what makes this team special, and why they should come watch you guys, and then also just being a part of Montevallo athletics here? Why has this been so, so much fun and something that, younger kids should look at doing in the future?
Well, Montevallo athletics is just, I've been a part of it for so long. It's just become like a family to me. And since Montevallo is such a small community, we all care about each other and we all know each other. Like you'll see the basketball coach at the volleyball games and you'll see the football coach at the soccer games, just because we all support each other. And something that makes this team really special is that we support each other through our ups and downs. I could have an awful game and I know that my teammates are going to be right there behind me to help cheer me up, and I'll do the same for them. And just our chemistry on the court together is unlike anything that we've had these past years. I think we've all finally grown into ourselves and we know what to do and we're ready to get it done.
Awesome. Well, listen, appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us here on Keeping Up Montevallo Athletics, and good luck this year.
Thank you.